A very good evening. Welcome to the 22nd day of September 2023 and welcome to the weekend. Nancy Lalima here and Felista Adundo on the sign language interpretation. And tonight we've got lots lined up for you, from the politics to a lot of security matters and as well some sporting action. All that right here. What a way to usher in your weekend. Before we get into all of that, here are our top stories. Tonight on Look Up Weekend.
These areas must be out of bounds for members of the public because they were being used by criminals to hide there.
Shoot to kill. Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithue Kindiki issues a shoot-to-kill order against armed criminal suspects who target security officers.
Ukilinganisha bei ya mafuta ya Kenya na nchi zetu zote jirani na zile ziko ng'ambo, yetu ndio iko chini zaidi. Huyu Moses Kuria is our son. Nimeona watu wengine wakisema ati afutwe kazi yaende wapi?
Fuel prices are a global thing. DP Gachagua stresses as he asserts that the relationship between him and Kuria is intact.
Not to ask for arms, charity, or handouts, but to work with the rest of the global community to give every human being in this world a decent chance.
President RUTO has called for a paradigm shift on how the United Nations General Assembly addresses global concerns. We are boarding. The private sector, led by the Kenya Bankers Association and the Federation of Public Transport Operators, are the latest entities to support the new Maisha number. Once more, welcome to the broadcast. This is Look Up Weekend, and feel free to engage with us. Do let us know where you're watching as from using the hashtag Look Up Weekend across all our social media platforms, where we are at Lookuptv on Twitter, or Lookuptv on Facebook, and Lookuptv on our YouTube channel. We'll be sampling some of that feedback in the course of this bulletin. Let's begin. Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithue Kindiki on Friday issued a shoot-to-kill order against armed criminal suspects in Tiaty East, Baringo County. Tiaty has suffered many bandit attacks for quite a long time, making it among the most insecure places in Baringo County and in the North Rift in general.
The Secretary for Interior Kithue Kindiki took his tour to Tiaty constituency in Baringo County, one of the areas giving the CS sleepless nights due to the rampant cases of banditry and cattle rustling. Kindiki expressed his concerns about the high level of insecurity in the area, giving a shoot-to-kill order for criminals targeting security officers or security camps.
For us to
Service unit in Silale Ward to help curb attacks from bandits, adding that the government will intensify installation of several camps to quell incessant banditry.
And we have instructed members of National Government Administration who are working here together with our police officers to ensure that no livestock rustling takes place, and when it happens, we must be able to recover the livestock. We must stop just producing stolen livestock and handing it back to their owners. We must also produce the suspects who were found with that livestock. So other than preventing livestock, we must recover. And when we recover, we must also recover the suspects.
Although CS Kindiki has been to Baringo severally, his threats seem to be landing on deaf ears. During his visit in the area in May, the CS assessed the progress, successes and challenges of the Maliza Uhalifu operation in the area, which aimed at ending criminal cases. The CS has, however, announced tough measures going forward while calling upon residents to be vigilant.
I want to announce here today that those areas that we gazetted on the 13th of February 2023 as disturbed and dangerous, including the Silale Gorges and Silale Crater and all the other places that we gazetted, they still remain gazetted as disturbed and dangerous.
This comes after the North registered yet another banditry attack, leading to 3 people dead in Baragoi, Samburu County. Beatrice Kageha, Lookuptv.
Thank you, Kageha. Now, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua now says that CS Trade Moses Kuria and him are very much united and that there is nothing like division between them. This comes as Gachagua earlier on called on cabinet secretaries to be mindful of their utterances when addressing the cost of living. Gachagua reiterated that the government has no control over the cost of fuel.
Days after there seemed to be divisions in the Kenya Kwanza government following the open exchange between DP Rigathi Gachagua and Trade CS Moses Kuria, the second in command has today come out to stress that the relation between him and Kuria is intact.
So I want to say, nimeona watu ya magazeti wakiandika jana, mlima iko na shida, Deputy President, sijui wanaweza pigana na Kuria. Sasa Kuria si ni waziri yangu. I'm Deputy President, this is our worker. Sasa mwenye kuandika mtu mnaweza kuzana na mfanyikazi yako. And I want to say, huyu Moses Kuria is our son. Nimeona watu wengine wakisema ati afutwe kazi. Afutwe kazi aende wapi? For what reason? Kuria ameongea, nimeona ametoka nje kidogo. Si mimi ni baba ya hapa. Nimemwambia bana kaza watu sana, enda pole pole. Si kazi yangu hiyo. Sasa mimi nikiwa kiongozi ya area hii, mimi naweza wachilia ati huyu Kuria angaishwe.
This comes after Kuria's sentiments when there was a rise in the prices of fuel in the country, which the deputy president now says the government has no control over.
Bei ya mafuta imeongezeka pale kwa Waarabu. Hii vita ya Ukraine na Russia imeleta matatizo. Hii mafuta si William Ruto wameongeza, ni Waarabu wameongeza. Waarabu ndio wenye vizima. Hata kama Kuria alikuwa anasema tuchipe yetu, hatuwezi chipa kwa sababu yetu haina chochote. It has nothing. Hata tukichipa hakuna kitu naweza toa. So wenye kuongeza mafuta ni Waarabu. Sasa huyu William Ruto mtoto wa wenyewe tunauliza yeye nini?
Speaking while attending the funeral service of Mau Mau freedom fighter Field Marshal Muthoni wa Kirima, Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka and the opposition brigade called on the government to be open on the cost of living.
Ya gharama ya maisha, kila Mkenya analia na tunapiga makofi na tunaepuka mjadala wa gharama ya maisha. Nyumbani watu wanaumia. Tukienda kwa baraza kama hapa, tunadanganya raia watupigie makofi, na wakati huo hawezi fika nyumbani kwa sababu ya gharama ya petroli.
You say the truth. Kenyans are suffering, and we must see how we can make life better. And we do so by talking to each other. The talks at Bomas, something will come out of it. So let us choose the path of dialogue. Let us give dialogue a chance.
In fact, it's amazing to have listened to all of you. And some of you, if you allow me to give you a little advice because of experience, if you don't understand anything, understand this. As we speak, our country is divided in the middle. Mheshimiwa Governor Bandirisha, we are not in Bomas at it to be managed. You can't manage Kalonzo. We are not here to be managed. Ati waongee tu ndio sasa mkamue maziwa, whatever it is. I want you to know this is very serious business.
Muthoni, who served as the late freedom fighter Dedan Kimathi's personal assistant in the struggle for liberation, passed on September 5th, aged 92. She was pronounced dead at a hospital in Pangani, where she was rushed moments after developing health complications. Brian Amwai, Lookuptv.
Thank you, Mwai. The 22nd day of the bipartisan talks between the Kenya Kwanza and Azimio One Kenya coalitions on Friday brought stakeholders together, including the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission, IEBC, representatives of the Court Workers, the Union of Women in Power, KEWOPA, IEBC. Appearing before the committee, IEBC Chairman Hussein Marjan
said IEBC servers are ready for auditing.
Good
morning.
The Chief Executive Officer of the IEBC, Hussein Marjan Hussein, through his report, recommended the causes in the Kriegler report be furthered in the efforts to find the new commissioners at the Electoral and Boundaries Body, proposing an election review through a legal system, explaining the need for speeding up the process of hiring the chairman of the commission, amending the election draft and recommending the enhanced security for its officers.
Our understanding of expert model by Kriegler recommendation is that the commission should be made up of experts, and they will be recruited by a panel, and therefore there's going to be independence in terms of who actually determines the people who are going to be members of the commission, and then ultimately they are going to be appointed. There is a need for legal reform to develop a legislative framework to guide the process of scrutiny of presidential election results before the decision of the Supreme Court of Kenya. And finally, there is a need to fast-track the recruitment of the chairperson and members of the commission who may be required to drive this process.
The commission recommends the addition of at least 2 more commissioners to the current number of the commissioners, 1 additional commissioner with qualifications similar to those of the chairperson, appearing to support the issue of one of the committee member being a current or a previous employee at the IEBC, recommending that the role of the boundary setting be reassigned from the commission, and say that the delay of the new commission will affect its performance ahead of the 2027 general elections, especially in matters boundaries.
Legal is very, very important. Over and above that, ICT is very, very important because the process nowadays are largely technology driven. You'd want a competent commissioner who can be able to oversight that. Over and above that, we have always have issues with regards to human resource. So and so has been transferred here. So and so is partisan. So and so. So we need somebody who is competent, who has got that skill, soft touch, who can be able to understand the dynamisms of human resource.
Others who appeared before the committee were the leaders of the Kewopa Union, who supported the creation of the office of the Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition, with different constitutionally defined duties from those of the Deputy President, representatives of the multi-sectoral working groups who want the implementation of the principle to that gender, and finally Betty Sungura, the leader of the National Gender and Equality Commission, who now wants the revision of the part of the structure of the IEBC Commission to include people with special needs.
This should be an opportunity for us as women. If you have the president and the deputy president and the leader of opposition being men, then as women we felt then the position of the deputy, the prime cabinet secretary should be filled by a woman.
We propose that NADCO shares with the working group the submissions so far received on this subject matter for our consideration and incorporation to the proposed framework.
What we are saying as the National Gender and Equality Commission is, can we have these funds, that's the CDF, the NGAF, and the Senate Oversight Fund, entrenched in the Constitution.
The National Dialogue Committee has today met at the Bomas of Kenya, meeting stakeholders including the IEBC, who endorse reconstitution process and now wants more funding to ensure its activities are well run. Stanley Lugaria, Lookuptv, at the Bomas of Kenya, Nairobi.
Thank you, Lugaria. Now, the Kenya Bankers Association and the Federation of Public Transport Operators are the latest entities to support the introduction of the unique personal identifier to be implemented by the State Department of Immigration and E-Citizen Service. Immigration Department and Citizen Services PS Julius Bitok today met with the private sector and business stakeholders in Nairobi, getting a nod from them on the introduction of the Maisha card.
Immigration Departments and Citizen Services PS Julius Bitok today met with private sectors and business stakeholders in Nairobi to collect their views on Maisha Number project, which is supposed to be launched by the President on 29th September this year.
This was a very special day where we had a meeting between National Digital Identity Technical Committee and the Kenya private sector, both to discuss matters digital identity. And we were able to brief them on the 4 components of the digital identity ecosystem. That is the rollout of UPI, Unique Personal Identifier, the rollout of third generation ID, the rollout of digital ID, and the rollout of master population register, which is a master database for the entire government.
Edwin Mkabana, chairperson public transport sector, says they have embraced the project fully, adding it will help track transport sector services delivery across the country.
Us who operate within the public transport sector, I think we like this because, one, at least it's going to check on our driver behavior. We are going to know our drivers where they are. And the idea that we are linking this with the NTSA is very, very good.
Additionally, the PA says the government will ensure the citizens' views and ideas are put into consideration. Bitok says the government plans to engage NGOs to help in sensitizing the public on Maisha Number Identification Project.
And we are listening to every comment, every idea, because we believe there's nobody who has monopoly of ideas in this kind of project.
Alo Dagail, Lookuptv, Nairobi.
And that story by Gal takes us to a very fast break here on the program. But keep watching, keep commenting. We'll be sampling some of that at the end of this bulletin. Don't go too far.
We got good news for you. You have the opportunity to win up to 100,000 shillings cash money from Kuza Bees. It's easy to participate. Just open M-Pesa, Lipa na M-Pesa, account number 825454, account name right, Lookuptv, then deposit 99 shillings only. Remember, the more you participate, the more the chances of winning. Hurry now and be one of the winners of the Daily Cash Awards.
This game is BCLB licensed and is not open to persons under the age of 18 years. Play responsibly.
Realize your home ownership dream by investing in Brookvale Tuala, a magnificent prime residential property located in Ongata, Rongai. Brookvale Tuala by Safaricom Investment Cooperative overlooks the majestic Ngong Hills and lies only 24 kilometers from Nairobi CBD. The project boasts of well-serviced plots with a perimeter wall, graded roads and a borehole. 50 by 100 plots are going for 1.4 million shillings with a flexible payment plan of up to 6 months. To book your plot, call 0729 121212 today. Safaricom Investment Cooperative, the investment partner of choice.
Welcome back. This is Look Up Weekend. Nancy Nalima here and Felista Adundo on the sign language interpretation. Let's continue. President William RUTO has called for a paradigm shift on how United Nations General Assembly addresses global concerns. The head of state, while addressing the Assembly in New York, United States of America, insisted dialogue around global crises such as terrorism, climate change and inequality has been made a preserve of a few powerful nations, much to the disadvantage of developing world like the African continent. President RUTO now says for the world to achieve meaningful gains against these challenges, it must open itself to new ideas and criticisms. Our reporter Henry Tende with more.
To welcome His Excellency William Samoei Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya.
Addressing the United Nations Assembly, President William Ruto has castigated the Assembly for lack of inclusivity in global dialogue on challenges facing the world, including climate change, terrorism and diseases.
If any confirmation was ever needed that the United Nations Security Council is dysfunctional, undemocratic, non-inclusive, unrepresentative, and therefore incapable of delivering meaningful progress in our world as presently constituted, the rampant impunity of its actors on global scene settles that matter. The environment of pervasive mistrust between the global north versus the global south, developed versus developing, rich versus poor, polluters versus victims, and net emitters versus net victims, which complicate and frustrates multilateralism, is the inevitable result of promises not kept, commitments not actualized, resolutions not honored, and principles not observed.
President Ruto says the United Nations must find a new approach to tackling these challenges, noting that the current system has proved ineffective in achieving the desired results. The head of state, moreover, warned the United Nations Assembly not to be rigid in adopting different perspectives meant to find lasting solutions to global concerns.
The failure of peace and security systems, inadequate development, and limited climate action, amidst technological advancement and enormous wealth, has left us in a state of paralysis, enduring one of the darkest periods of human existence.
In reference to the Africa Climate Summit resolutions in Nairobi, President Ruto wants the developing world given equal representation in discussions on global crises such as climate change. The head of state said this way, the African continent in particular will contribute immensely to the fight against terrorism, environment degradation, and diseases.
This is not the occasion for any member of the United Nations to escape when they should be rising to the challenge of the moment. Resorting to pursuit of narrow, insular, antisocial agendas within exclusive clubs constituted to maintain the status quo that undermines and cannibalizes the United Nations systems at the expense of progress in humanity's collective journey to the future of our aspirations is totally unacceptable.
President Ruto later in the day held discussions with several heads of states in a bid to establish strong bilateral and trade relations for the benefit of Kenya. Henry Tende, Lookuptv.
Thank you, Tande. Now moving on. Despite the government offering free primary education to public schools, a family in Makueni still struggles to have access to quality education. Bahati Makau was chased out of school because of 30 shillings arrears, exposing the inequality and struggles the families go through in trying to keep their kids in school. Orumo Sike brings us more on that story.
In many schools across Kenya, pupils are required to pay levies for purchase of internal exams, remedial lessons, and even costs associated with free feeding programs in schools. Sadly, some parents from poor backgrounds are unable to afford to cater for these expenses. At Kivani village in Makueni County, we met young Bahati Makau at his humble home. From the surroundings, poverty has camped here. His mother, a widow who has been struggling to meet ends meet. We are informed that Bahati Makau had been recently sent home from school for failure to pay 30 shillings examination fee required for all grade 2 students, after which the school led by the deputy head teacher chipped in to help with Makau's dire situation.
I'm Gloria Mwendwa, the deputy head teacher, Kivai Primary School. Ready to take an initiative and to know how far we can do to help the parents. Then I decided that we visit the home and see how we can do to help the parent.
Other well-wishers from the Hope for Crying African Child NGO have called on to other organizations and well-wishers to contribute towards easing the financial burden in Makau's family.
We are asking other donations to continue connecting themselves with Hope for Crying African Child so that the mother is soliciting for foods from neighbors every day.
Wairimo Wasike, Lookuptv.
Thank you, Rimo. Residents in NAROK sub-county are celebrating after 2 notorious criminals confessed the crimes and vowed not to engage in productive business. The 2 are confessing during the International Peace Day attendance, whereby they admitted to be in possession of dangerous weapons that made them steal livestock from the residents and sell to other counties. However, they vowed to change from the evil ways and become better people in the future.
Where they terrorized residents by stealing from them.
Nilikuwa naanzia wizi, nilikuwa nimeenda Laikipia. Tulikuwa tunatumia bunduki. Tukakuja tukaenda mahali naitwa Lemurite, paneli ya Laikipia. Kufanya kazi huko, hata nikienda za huko, ndaenda naleta na bunduki kwa sababu watu wananitambua mimi ni mtu ya kazi. Mahali nilikuwa najifunza bunduki ni huko. Vile nilikuja hapa nikakuta umse. Takanipeleka tukaendea kwa dawa.
The act of giving their lives into Christ and leaving behind their criminal lives was a moment of joy for the residents. 6 years ago is when they joined the criminal world, living life by the gun, taking that which does not belong to them. But as the village marked International Peace Day, it was time for them to be part of ensuring that peace and normalcy returns.
Hii maneno ilikuja kwangu, nikaona tasamalisha maisha yangu sababu kwa upepo ya shetani. Sasa nikaamua kwamba heri niokoke, nipende Mungu, nikae na watoto wangu msafi. Anachua ni heri china mzuri kuliko mali mingi. Sasa nikaamua kitu moja, nikasema acha niangukie mkono wa raia ama serikali yoyote pamoja na Mungu pia.
The County Commissioner Isaac Masinde, who also attended the meeting, thanked the two for their brave decision.
Nataka niwachukue nafasi hii pia niwashukuru sana kwa hii amana ambayo mmeweka. Mmekuwa mfano mzuri. Karibu nitaambia zile sehemu ambazo bado kuna kashida hapa na pale, wale watu wa Transmara huko waweze kutembea hapa ili waweze pia kusoma, waweze kuona vile nyinyi, wasome vile nyinyi mlikubaliana, mkaamua, mkaweka amani, na hata wao pia pande wa Ngata Parakoi waweze kuweka amani.
Faith Bonareri, Lookuptv.
Now in the counties, the move to lift caveats on land in Kuresoi has been welcomed by leaders from Nakuru County led by Governor Susan Kihika. The leaders say the removal of these restrictions will enable the local community to fully utilize the land for agricultural purposes, gain access to loans and develop their lands.
DJ, natumai umetayarisha nyimbo za taifa zote mbili. Asante sana kwa wanaketi.
During a recent visit to the area, County Governor Susan Kihika announced that the national government has lifted the caveats in these areas, acknowledging the residents' rightful land ownership. This decision came after months of persistent lobbying efforts.
Nimeongea na president, ako mahali inaitwa New York. Sasa jana alinipigia simu akaniambia, wewe ile maneno huwa unanisukuma, tumeweza kutekeleza na nataka ukimbie huko ground uambie wananchi hivyo. Sasa ili mjue shamba zenyu mtaweza kusifanyia zenye mnataka. Si hapo ni sawa? Kwa hivyo hiyo caveat yenye ilikuwa Olenguruoni, Abusket imetolewa, kwa hivyo hizo mtaweza kunini. Olenguruoni, Kiptagich imetolewa, kwa hivyo hapo mtaweza kufanyia shamba zenyu. Olenguruoni, Chepakundi pia haiko anymore, imetolewa. Olenguruoni, Cheptuech pia. Olenguruoni, Amalo pia imetolewa. Olenguruoni, KTDA imetolewa. Sasa job tunafanya ama hatufanyi?
Elsewhere, the Presbyterian Church of East Africa, PCA in Kitengela, Kajiado County, is at the risk of losing a property worth 500 million shillings after the court ruled that the church does not own the land it stands on. In Samburu North celebrated the International Day of Peace, marking a year improved peace in an area previously plagued by insecurity. The National Cohesion and Integration Commission, NCIC, held an event there, with Chairman Reverend Dr. Samuel Kobia emphasizing the need for legislation to address hate speech. Finally, the county government of Kilifi will allocate 2.6 billion shillings to the health sector in the current financial year.
Time now to get sporty. BLING was assistant coach last season. Ayimba led Kenya to the Olympics in 2016. Fini led Kenya to a World Cup semi-final.
Kevin Wambua alias BLING has nicked his name on the list of Kenya Sevens coaches who have laid a magnificent track record with the Kenya National Sevens team, popularly known as Shujaa. Wambua led a team of young blood, most of them earning call-ups from the just concluded SportPesa National Sevens circuit to not only booking a spot in the 2024 Paris Olympics, but also clinching the title of the best sevens rugby team in Africa. BLING has previously had his stint with the Kenya Lionesses, Daystar Falcons, Kenya Under-20 Chipu, Laser Hill Academy, and is currently serving as the Mwamba RFC head coach. Other coaches who have made an unforgettable milestone with Kenya Sevens side include the late Benjamin Ayimba, who is responsible for the Singapore Sevens main cup in 2016 and the Rio Olympic qualification in 2016 as well. Former Blues, Auckland and Stormers assistant coach Paul Fenny took the wheel, leading Kenya to a 2013 semi-final bow out in the Rugby World Cup, putting a historical mark on the country's sports epitaph. Over the years in the Kenya Sevens trial, these three men have done the country proud. Reporting for Lookup Sports, I'm RUTO Sheke.
Now, the English Premier League enters March day 6 this weekend, with log leaders Manchester City standing stiff with 15 points. 2 points off first runners up Tottenham Hotspurs. The Citizens take on Nottingham Forest, while Burnley face off Manchester United. This is how the weekend looks like. And thank you so much for being part of this broadcast. We've come to the end, but let me sample some of your feedback before I go, which is very valuable to us right here. Pablo Moja says he is watching from Ruiru. Thank you so much. And Oyando Wycliffe saying good evening, watching live from 045 Kisii branch. And we really appreciate your feedback. And let's keep our conversations going across all our social media platforms, where we are at Lookuptv on Twitter, which is now X, on Facebook, and on our YouTube channel as well. I'm Nancy Lima. Our sign language interpreter has been Felista Adundo. And keep it right here on Lookuptv, and as well for stories that are making headlines or the stories that are breaking, www.lookuptv.co.ke is where you can get informed. But for now, it's good night. Have yourselves a pleasant evening. Have a lovely weekend. God bless.